All right. Hello, everybody. Um, I just finished a situation where we kind of enhanced our entire agentic workflow, and I'm also going to be testing out the Opencode agent context protocol, ACP. Um, the really cool thing, hopefully, about this combo, if it works, is that I will be able to interact with Opencode via a chat interface instead of a TUI like I had been previously. And then uh, Zed has this really cool feature that allows us to follow. So I'm hoping, for the purposes of this demo, to give it a new feature to highlight the new workflow that we have going on and see how it does. So just to quickly bring this up, I have updated the agentic workflow where what essentially will happen is I'll have a user request that comes in, which I'll be doing, hand this off to Kimi K2, the orchestrator, which will then initiate the entire process. The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to use GLM 4.6 to clarify those requirements. So it's going to research the code base, look at similar features, kind of try to understand the project intent, and then ensure that it asks enough questions so that the next agent can write a good spec. And then all of these answers, just to keep context to a minimum, are always going to be written to these temporary markdown files. Cloud Haiku 4.5 is going to then write the spec. I'll approve it. This is the last human checkpoint. GLM 4.6 is then going to research the code base as well as relevant docs on the web using context 7 to analyze the spec and create a research doc that is going to include all information on existing components, functions, patterns that it should extend or reuse to hopefully reduce the amount of the AI just always creating net new things. We are then going to output that to then hand off to Big Pickle. Since a lot of this research should be done, Big Pickle should be a nice free agent to essentially just convert this into a implementation plan and testing. I'm going to use GPT-5 to act as a automated QA checkpoint, testing out just reasoning effort medium for now, but it's going to compare the spec, the research, and the plan, ensure that all the requirements in the spec are addressed in the plan. There's no scope creep. The plan seems good in terms of finding any logical flaws. It's not creating net new things. It has uses performant patterns. There's then an automated feedback loop depending on what it finds. So I'll be really curious to see if that works as expected. We keep track of those in our project state, and we escalate to a high thinking sonnet model if there ends up becoming too much back and forth. And then we go off to Grok code for the development and the test creation, the code reviewer, which is GPT-5 Codex, to then ensure that all the code written as well. A similar decision point where we go through those various loops. And then finally, use Qwen3 Coder as our historian to document everything. And then, yeah, hopefully that will work smoothly. We shall see. So what I'm going to then do is just give a message to our orchestrator here. Hello, I am looking to build a new feature to the statistical analysis portion of our application. I essentially want to add a new control toggle called Tendencies to our toggle switch. It should be the rightmost section in that, and then it will show our table to essentially show any statistics that are going to be related to the fallback tertile classifications that are going to be associated with aggressiveness as well as style. And then I want to display the data within that, essentially mimic any of the existing functionality for any of the previous statistics that we've implemented, ensuring that we have those statistics in a dropdown. The table complies with all of our gold standards and is similar to everything else that we've implemented, and that all of our fallback options are brought into the relevant dropdowns per statistic that break down those play calling tendencies based on various game scenarios that would be relevant to those stats. So that was me just literally throwing it into the chat window here, and we're going to hit go and see how this ACP experience works. So as you can see, it's already brought us over to the workflow state. It's going to check that status, and then it's creating to-dos. It's going to delete all of our temp files just to make sure we start clean. And it's now added that feature request to a markdown file. And now it did not do any delegation as far as I can tell. But it's still kind of cool to be able to go through and look at this here. So it then asks clarifying questions. All right. So for all the clarifying questions, I'm not 100% sure if it actually used the right model or did any of the delegation. So I'm just going to look at my billing thing. And yeah, it used Kimi K2 for all of it. So it didn't look like it actually used the delegation. But that doesn't mean we can't keep going through. So in relation to the tertile classifications, I want to show the actual values for the relevant statistic. So for example, if the selected statistic is pass rate, that should use the style tertile classification. However, if it's the fourth down punt rate or the going for fourth down rate or 2-point conversion rate, because those statistics are mapped to the aggressiveness classification fallback, they should use that tertile. So it will be dynamic by statistic. And then this one I'm just going to type, please find all the statistics in spec with aggressiveness or style as their fallback. All of the statistics based on those rules should go into the dropdown. They should be organized the same way as all of our other statistics within the app. Within that comprehensive doc, if you look at the bucketing logic above each statistic where it's detailed, that will tell you what the game scenarios are. Similar patterns should also exist within the code base. Literally, fallback options, table display, both of those should just be able to look at existing patterns within the database. There's nothing super novel here. You can just repeat those patterns. There will likely need to be new calculations for each of those rates, as those statistics haven't been calculated yet, but should rely on existing CSV parsing functionality. The tooltip for the tendencies toggle should say see statistics based on play calling tendencies and fourth down and 2-point conversion related statistics. But I would also ensure that you keep it in a similar tone and structure to existing tooltips and statistics. I'm not sure if we want to create new statistic types or reuse existing ones. Let's just follow the same pattern and precedent that's already been set from the other categories of statistics that already exist. Okay, so we're still following it. It found this comprehensive spec. It's now going into the statistics to uh, read and do some of the research. It created our answer doc. It correctly found, I think, all the correct statistics. Yep, pass rate, run rate, punt rate, field goal attempt rate, 2-point conversion rate. Perfect. So that is good. And then, yep, it found the bucketing logic for pass run tendencies, it found the bucketing logic for fourth down tendencies, and it found the bucketing logic for 2-point conversion. That is good. Well, and here it wrote the spec. Okay, and it properly paused for my approval. So we're going to go look at the spec and just quickly make sure everything that looks good. It wants to add the new tendencies toggle to the analytics control that displays all the play calling tendencies, fourth down 2-point conversion. That checks out. Yeah, we should use the existing analytics mode. I don't necessarily like the fact that it's doing this, but this is because it hasn't actually delegated correctly. I do not approve of this spec. It didn't follow the instructions at all, and for some reason, you are not delegating to the appropriate sub agent. It's using the task tool here, which I think means it did delegate to the sub agent. Now it's thinking. I wonder if a sub agent doesn't actually follow through in the window. That'd be a bummer. Be kind of cool. Oh, no, it's reading. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we don't actually get to see the thought process of the sub agent. But now we at least get to look at this and see that it, yep, so it's a new feature. Good. Adding a tendencies toggle that displays the play calling tendencies, decision making patterns. Um, this is the problem with the thing displaying tertile wrong, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. As an analyst, I want to view team pass and run rate tendencies so I can understand each team's offensive tendencies. Yep. As an analyst, I want to see fourth down decision tendencies, punt versus field goal versus go for it so that I can assess team aggressiveness in situations. Perfect. As an analyst, I want to view 2-point conversion attempt rates so I can evaluate team risk taking behavior in high leverage moments. Sounds great. As an analyst, I want to filter tendencies by game scenarios, score differential, time remaining field position, etc., so that I can understand how teams adopt strategies to different situations. Great. And I want to select specific tendency statistics from a dropdown so I can focus on the metrics most relevant to my analysis. Awesome. Needs a display. We need to, it needs to be sure it's visible. And when the user toggles to the section, when the tendencies toggle appears as the rightmost option in the toggle switch, perfect. Activation, when it's available, and the user clicks on it, it becomes active and displays the statistics table, and the table displays statistics related to tertile. I'm just gonna go in and update those just so that everything's spelt correctly. Dropdown functionality, given that the tendency is active, show the statistics, pass rate, run rate, punt rate, field goal attempt rate, and 2-point rate. Perfect. User can select those. Great. pass or run rate is selected, and the statistics are calculating the style, which is, yep, pass run rates is almost end of half. That's important because obviously you're going to be probably passing a lot more at the end of the half, going to be passing more when you're losing by a lot, and you're realistically going to be passing more on early downs versus late downs and longer rates to go. So this looks good. And our fourth down statistics are going to be based on, again, are we almost near the end of the half? Are we in fringe field goal territory? Are we in the red zone? And then what's the difference? And then the to go. So that checks out as well. And then their 2-point conversion statistics, almost end of half, offensive score differential and quarter. Cool. And yep, table display. Other analytics views, good. Fallback and data handling. Existing patterns, perfect. Great. And then, yeah, and they're just kind of, this is perfect. These are just translating what was already there. But yep, effectively looking at the average of pass plays if pass is 1 or run is 1. So literally these are just values. So that's going to be the percentage of times they pass. The same thing's going to be true for run. Punt attempts, same situation. Cool, cool, cool. And then, yeah, game scenario bucketing is there. Dropdown organization, that checks out. Table display formatting, yep. Supports sorting and organization consistent with the other views. Great. All right, so yeah, I do approve of this spec now. So we can go ahead and say I approve. And then let's see if it actually delegates to the next agent. I look over here and okay, cool. It did use Claude Haiku 4.5 to do that task. That's good. Okay, and now it's now doing the task. So this is now implementing, sending it to our researcher, which is GLM. And we can see our plan here, so that's kind of cool. It would be interesting if if we could actually follow through it and see the changes it's making on the side panel and then follow through, because just looking at this workflow state's kind of boring. Because yeah, the whole point of this demo was to realistically be able to trace through and see everything that it was doing in the files that it was reading. In the terminal view, it actually shows you its thought process and everything, all the actions that it's taking, even the subagents. So that's a bit of a bummer, but potentially a cool feature request that maybe could be implemented. I don't know if it's a Zed issue or it's would be an enhancement to Opencode in terms of how it shows its and reports back it's what it's looking at. But yeah, definitely not quite as exciting as I would have hoped. But anyway, that kind of shows what's going through. It didn't do the first handoff, but it is now successfully handing off to the subagents to do the review. I can confirm that it is correct calling the correct models because I'm actually seeing those charges come through. It just didn't initially delegate to that clarifying person, so I probably just have to make a clear call out in the orchestrator prompt or ensure that the orchestrator prompt is actually getting passed through. Actually, so maybe that's the key. I might actually just have to follow through that prompt. That prompt maybe only happens when it initially gets called. So that could be maybe the issue as well. But yeah, it did create the research findings. So we can still see that when that comes in. I guess it's cool. It's now implementing based on this. So yeah, it found all of these situations. And so yeah, it has that. So cool. It's citing relevant files. It's bringing this in here. So hopefully that'll be good for the implementation plan to then come in. It's recommending using a React testing library in Vitest, and it's saying that we should put a couple unit tests in here, integration tests, and then some regression tests. So that's cool. It created the plan, or it searched for the plan. Here's our plan. Okay. You can see here, yeah, we have our clarifying questions, our answers, and everything else. So yeah, here's our approach, key decisions, broke down our sequential tasks. So that's great. Our parallel tasks, and our testing requirements. Key files, new files, updates, integration points, validation strategy. Classifying this as high risk because it's complex. Data calculation, high risk. That's kind of cool. I don't know if the risk assessment is actually needed for this. Um, did I tell it to do a risk assessment? Architect. No, just unit tests, integration tests, regression tests, edge cases, patterns. So yeah, not exactly what I would have wanted. Task breakdown. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't quite follow this explicitly. Be kind of interesting here to look in our docs when we originally looked at the feature request. That's, I guess, the cool thing. It did break this down into an actual markdown, which is nice. Um, so it's almost like wrote half a spec initially. Clarifying questions were, yeah, a little redundant. The answers, it looked up. Okay, cool. So it actually searched for the answers and then put it in here. That's kind of cool. Um, so yeah, did a quick search, actually found the answers based on what I told it. I actually don't mind that. That's nice. And then it created the spec, started researching, created a plan. Cool. And our GPT-5 is still chugging away. I can't confirm it's running because I am seeing it doing its thing. Yeah, just really wish we could kind of see that thinking process and what it was doing. But we did get the QA feedback. Needs work. Oh, and I found a ton of issues. Okay, so I found, yeah, it aligns with the UI patterns. However, it misses critical data model and engine integration for scenario bucketing. So yeah, I found 8 major issues and 7 recommendations. Yeah, cool. Hmm, this isn't actually correct because I mean, I guess I could do division, but it's actually much simpler. You can just take an average. That's the whole point. Yeah, then I found some performance issues. So overall, I guess it's good here. Yeah, overall, I kind of like it. We updated the plan, and our doc references it now. Okay, cool. So even though they read a new one, it's still properly tracking that state, which is good. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna, I think, end this video. Um, it's gone on for 30 minutes, and yeah, some minor tweaks, almost there.